Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this big granny square here. Now it measures almost 14 inches across. I mean, just shy of 14 inches. So that's what it looks like. I got a couple different colors here. Actually came from the same skein of mandala. So it's got 2 rows of bobbles there, some shells, chain spaces. It's kind of a time-consuming granny because I think mainly the bobble row is what makes it so time-consuming. But it actually turned out really nice. Sew these together. I think it would be cool if you made these and sewed them all together and made like a super scarf for winter. I thought that would be neat. There's the other one. So let's go ahead and get started on it, and I'll show you what I used here. Now, I'm going to take a minute to please ask you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you go to the description box, you will find an auto subscribe link. If you click on that, it'll automatically subscribe you, and then you'll never miss any of my tutorials or any of my other giveaways or yarn reviews or whatever else I do. I'd really appreciate it. So for this project, I used the Lion Brand mandala, which is a lightweight number 3. 590 yards in the skein. I made 2 cakes, and this is what I have left out of 1. Now I'm not quite sure this would be enough to do a complete another cake, or another square, I'm sorry, a complete another square, but it would be pretty close. So you could probably get close to 3 of those. If not, I mean, this might be enough, but 2.5 to 3 of these granny squares out of a cake of mandala. And the color that I'm using is called Fairy. Now you don't have to use the mandala yarn. I would though recommend a lightweight 3, as I did not try it in a 4 weight. I cannot tell you if it's going to be, if you use a 4 weight, it might be wavy. It might not be. But if you do want to try that, I will recommend that you use a larger hook than what I use. But like I said, I did not try it with the 4 weight, so I cannot tell you if it'll work or not. And I do know it'll be bigger than 14 inches, but other than that, I would recommend, to get it like mine, a lightweight 3. And then I'm going to be using a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, you want to start off with a slip knot on your hook. And then we're going to work a chain of 4. And then we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch, to form a ring. Now if you want to use the magic circle here too, that's fine. And I'm going to chain 1. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And I'm going to work 12 double crochets through the center of the ring. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now there's 12. Now you want to end round 1 by slip stitching into your first double crochet that you made. And now you'll have 12 double crochets at the end of that round. And if you pull your tail, you'll be able to close up that circle, center circle, a little bit like that. Okay, for round 2, we're going to chain 1. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets there right back into that same stitch right there. So go right into that same spot that we slip stitch into and work 2 double crochets. And now I'm going to work 2 double crochets into every stitch all the way around. Just like that. 2 doubles every stitch until you get back to the beginning. Okay, once you make it back around, at the end of round 2, you should have 24 stitches now, and you want to go ahead and slip stitch into your first double crochet to end that round. Okay, round 3, we're going to chain 1. Now we're going to work a V-stitch into this very first stitch that we slip stitched into. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into it and double crochet. And then we're going to work a chain 1. And then we're going to go back into the same stitch and work another double crochet. So that's our V-stitch. Now we're going to chain 1, skip 1, and V-stitch in the next. So I'm going to skip that one. And into the next one, I'm going to do my double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet into the same stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, and V-stitch into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, and V-stitch into the next. So you want to go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around until you get back to the beginning. Chain 1, skip 1, V-stitch. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 3 and I just did my last V-stitch, and you want to make sure you chain 1 after that. You should have 1 stitch left to skip. And then we're going to end with the slip stitch into our first double crochet, and now you'll have 12 V-stitches to end of round 3. Round 4, we're going to chain 1, and we want to go ahead and put a double crochet right back into that very first stitch, and then we're going to put a double crochet right here into the chain 1 space of the V. And then a double crochet right here into the top of the next double crochet. And then the chain 1 spaces between the V's, we put 2 double crochets right through this space. Just like that. So 1 double crochet into the top of the next double crochet. 1 double crochet in the chain 1 space of the V. 1 double crochet into the top of the next double crochet. And then 2 double crochets in between the chain 1 space of the V's. So we're going to put 2 into there. And now we're just going to repeat that all the way around. Again, 1 double on top of the next double, 1 double in the chain 1 space of the V, 1 double into the next double, and then 2 doubles into the chain 1 space in between the next 2 V's. So right through here, 2 doubles. So you want to go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the beginning. Okay, I'm coming to the end of round 4, and your last space here is in between 2 V-stitches, so you want to make sure you put 2 double crochets into that last space, and you should have a total of 60 stitches now at the end of round 4, and go ahead and end with a slip stitch into your first double crochet. Now what we're going to do is bobble stitches. Now in order for us to work the bobbles, you have to work from the back side of your work. So what we're going to do is chain 1 and flip our work around. What we're going to do is we're going to put a bobble into this very first stitch here that we slip stitched into. So I'll show you what you want to do to make the bobble. So we're going to yarn over, go into that very first stitch here that we slip stitched into, and draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. Now you want to do that 4 times, so that counts as 1. So yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. So that's 2 times. Again, going in the same stitch, yarn over, go to the first 2. That's 3 times. One more time, yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. So we did that 4 times, and now you have 5 loops that remain. Yarn over and go through all 5 loops on your hook, pull it a little bit tight, and then we go directly into the next stitch and single crochet, just like that. And if you flip it around, you see your bobble is poofed out. So by working on the back side, it makes the bobbles poof out on the front. So that's kind of the repeat we're going to do all the way around for this pattern. We're going to do a bobble into the next stitch. So we're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook, and you want to do that 4 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops that remain, yarn over and go through all 5. I give it a little tug and single crochet directly into the next stitch, and that kind of locks that bobble down, just like that. And you got 2 bobbles worked. Gonna bobble again into the next stitch, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops that remain, yarn over, go through all 5 loops, give it a little tug, and single crochet directly into the next stitch. So I'm going to repeat that all the way around until I get back to the beginning. Okay, I'm coming to the end of round 5, and I just did my last bobble, and I have 1 stitch left. So I want to go ahead and single crochet into that last stitch to lock that bobble down. And now I want to slip stitch in the row by slip stitching into the top of the very first bobble. So right about here, you can see the bobble top stitch. Doesn't have to be exact, it's kind of right in here on the top of this bobble. And you should have 30 bobbles now at the end of round 5. Now what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn our work back around to the front. And that's what we got so far. And if it's kind of folding in, that's fine. It does that when you do bobbles, but we'll straighten it out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start off by putting 1 double crochet into the very first stitch, which is this very first bobble here that we slip stitched into. Go ahead and put 1 double crochet right there. And now we're going to put 2 double crochets into this single crochet right here. So go ahead and put 2 double crochets into that next single. And then 1 double crochet into the top of this next bobble, and if you just slightly flip it, you can see the top of it is right here. So just 1 double crochet right there into the top of that bobble. And then 2 double crochets into the next single. 1 double crochet into the top of the next bobble. So just again, just flip it a bit, 1 double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into the next single. You can see the singles lay in between the bobble right there. So 2 into the single, and that's kind of the repeat now for this round. 1 double into the top of the next bobble, and then 2 doubles into the next single. One double, top next bobble, 2 doubles into the next single. So just go ahead and repeat this pattern all the way around until you get back to your starting point. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 6, and now you should have 90 stitches. So your last stitch should have been a single crochet with 2 doubles in it, because we started out right over here into this first bobble. So we're just going to end with a slip stitch into this first double crochet, and that'll end round 6. Round 7, we're going to do another row of bobbles, same way we did before. So we're going to chain 1, and remember we have to work from the back side. So we're going to start out working a bobble in this very first stitch. So we do the bobbles the same way we did before. Five loops remain on your hook. Yarn over, go through all 5, single crochet into the next stitch. So it's the same as we did 2 rows ago. There's just going to be more bobbles this time. Single crochet into the next, and then bobble into the next. And single into the next. So just go ahead and repeat that bobble, single, all the way around until you get back to your starting point. Okay, I'm coming to the end of round 7, and I did a bobble. My last stitch should be a single crochet, and then we'll end with the slip stitch on the top of our first bobble, and now you should have 45 bobbles. Now we need to chain 1 and turn our work back around. Now that's the last time that we'll be working from the back side. It's only the front from now on. Okay, now for round 8, what we want to do is we want to put 4 double crochets in the row, and then the next stitch will get 2 double crochets in it. So we'll go ahead and we'll put 1 double crochet right here into this very first stitch that's on top of this very first bobble. So that's 1, and then 1 double crochet into this next single. That's 2, 1 double crochet into the top of the next bobble. That's 3, 1 double crochet into this next single. That's 4. Now the next stitch, which will be on top of this bobble, we'll put 2 double crochets into it. Just like that. And then we'll repeat that. 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. So 1 double crochet into the next single here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch, which is the single crochet down here. And that is a pattern we're going to repeat all the way around. 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, which is on top of this bobble. So that we're going to repeat that pattern, 1 double crochet in the next 4, and then 2 double crochets in the next, all the way back around to the beginning. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 8, and my last stitch that I do should have 2 double crochets in it, and now you should have a total of 108 stitches at the end of round 8. Go ahead and end with the slip stitch into your first double crochet. Now that's what it starts to look like. It's okay if it's a bit wavy, we'll get that fixed up like that. So now let's make some shells around it. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1, and we're going to work 2 single crochets back into the same stitch. So there's 1 and 2. Now we're going to skip 2 stitches, skip, and we're going to work a shell into the next. A shell is 5 double crochets in the same stitch. So skip your 2, and work your 5 double crochets into the next stitch. Like that. And then we'll skip 2 again, skip, and we're going to work 2 single crochets into the next. So that is kind of the repeat now for round 9. Skip 2, skip, shell into the next. So 5 double crochets into the next. Skip 2 again, skip, and 2 single crochets into the next. Skip 2 and shell. Skip 2 and then 2 single crochets into the next. So you want to go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the beginning. Okay, I'm coming to the end of round 9. I did my last shell. I have 2 stitches left, and you want to go ahead and slip stitch into your first single crochet to end that round. And now you should have 18 shells at the end of round 9. That's what it's looking like now. Okay, now we're going to do some chain spaces. Okay, what we're going to do is chain 1. Now, these first 2 single crochets, we're going to double crochet them together. So what we're going to do is yarn over, go into that very first single crochet, and draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. And then we're going to yarn over and go into the next single crochet, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, and you'll have 3 loops that remain. Yarn over and go through all 3. So that took those 2 single crochets and made it into 1 double. So now we're going to do a chain of 3, just a loose chain of 3, and we're going to single crochet in the middle stitch of this shell. So single crochet into the top of the middle stitch, and then we're going to chain 3 again. And then these next 2 single crochet down here, we're going to double crochet them together. So we're going to go ahead and yarn over, go into the first one, and draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again and go into the next single crochet, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, and then yarn over and go through the 3 remaining loops on your hook. And then we'll chain 3 and single crochet into the middle stitch of the next shell. And that is kind of the repeat now that we're going to do all the way around. Chain 3, double crochet these 2 single crochets together. So yarn over, go into the first one, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over again and go into the next single crochet, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, and yarn over and go through all 3 remaining loops. Then we chain 3 again and single crochet into the middle stitch of the next shell. Chain 3, double crochet the next 2 single crochets together, chain 3, and single crochet into the middle of the next shell. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around, and that's what it starts to look like until I get back to the beginning. Okay, I'm coming to the end of round 10. I did a single crochet in the middle stitch of that last shell. I chained 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into the top of my first double crochet 2 together. Like that. That should end round 10. And now you should have 36 of these chain spaces. So let's go ahead and square this baby off. Make it a square. So we're going to go and we're going to slip stitch over here to the first chain space. So let's go ahead and slip stitch 1 time. And we're going to work a chain of 4, which is going to count as a triple crochet. Now we're going to work 2 more triple crochets into the same chain space. So triple, remember we yarn over twice for the triple. Go right in the space and do your triple crochet. Another one. So counting that chain 4, there's 3 triple crochets. Now we're going to work a chain of 2, and we're going to work 3 more triples into the same chain space. Just like that. And now, I'll move my camera here. We got our first corner. That's 1 corner right there. So we're going to go jump to the next chain space, and we're going to work into the chain space. We're going to work 2 triples, and then 2 doubles. Just like that. Now we're going to work 4 double crochets in each of the next 2 chain spaces. So jump to the next chain space and work 4 double crochets in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next one, 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to work 4 half double crochets into the next 2 chain spaces. So jump to the next space and work 4 half doubles. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Jump to the next chain space, 4 half doubles. And now we're going to work 4 double crochets into the next 2 chain spaces. So jump to the next one and put 4 double crochets in it. Next chain space, 4 doubles. Now the next chain space is going to get 2 double crochets, and then 2 triple crochets, and then the next chain space is going to be our next corner. So we're going to work 3 triple crochets in it, a chain of 2, back into the same space, and work 3 more triples. Just like that. Now we got 2 corners made. It's okay if it looks a little wonky and not square yet. We got a couple more rows to do, a few more rows actually, and we'll get it all nice and square before we're finished. So we're going to kind of repeat what we just did again. So we're going to start off into this next chain space and work 2 triples, and then 2 doubles into the same chain space, just like that. Now 4 double crochets in each of the next 2 chain spaces, so 4 in that one, 4 into the next, 4 half doubles in each of the next 2 chain spaces. So now we're working half doubles. Four in that one, 4 into the next, four doubles in each of the next 2 chain spaces, four in that one, 4 into the next, and then we want to put 2 into the next chain space, 2 doubles, and then 2 triples, and then in the next chain space we will put our next corner, which will be 3 triples, chain 2, and 3 triples, and that is what we're going to repeat all the way around. And remember, it's not going to be square yet, but just keep repeating that pattern until you get back to the beginning. Okay, I'm coming to the end here of round 11, and I got my 1 chain space left, so that gets 2 doubles, and then it gets 2 triples. I keep dropping this yarn. I love Mandela's colors, but I just don't really like working with it. It's hard for me. So it was 2 doubles, 2 triples in that last chain space. Go ahead and end round 11 by slip stitching into the top of your beginning chain 4. And now you should have 152 stitches at the end of that round. So that's what it's starting to look like. It's kind of looking like a square, I guess. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start round 12. Okay, now we're going to start round 12 by chaining 4, which is going to count as our first triple crochet. And now we're going to triple crochet 1 into each of the next 2 stitches. So 1 triple crochet into the next, 1 into the next, and now we're going to be at our corner of our square. And what we're going to do now into this chain 2 space is we're going to work 2 triples right into the chain 2 space, and then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to work 2 more triples again into the same space. And that's how we're going to do our corners this round. 2 triples, chain 2, and 2 triples. Now we're going to put 1 triple crochet into these next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, and 3, like that. And now we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to put 1 half double into the next 4 stitches. So we're working half doubles. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Okay, now I want to put 1 single crochet over the next 16 stitches. So it'll be over these 4 sets of 4 stitches here. So 1 single into the next 16 stitches. So we'll go ahead. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, and 16. Now it's going to be 1 half double crochet over the next 4 stitches. So 1 half double over the next 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 double over the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 triple crochet in these last 3 stitches before the corner. So 1 triple in the next 3. 1, 2, and there's 3. And now we're at our corner. So we're going to go ahead and put 2 triple crochets into that chain space, a chain of 2, and 2 more triple crochets. Now that is going to be the repeat for this time around. So 1 triple crochet into the next 3 stitches, one double into the next 4, one half double into the next 4, one single over the next 16 stitches, one half double over the next 4, one double over the next 4, 1 triple into the last 3, and then we're at our corner where we'll put 2 triples, chain 2, and 2 triples. And that is what we're going to repeat all the way around until we get back to the beginning. Starting to look a little bit more square, but we still got just a couple more rows to go. So go ahead and repeat that until you get all the way back around to here. Okay, I'm coming to the end of round 12, and I just did my 4 double crochets there, and I'm back here to where I started. I already had the 3 triples for this side, so I'm going to go and end with a slip stitch into the top of my first triple. Now in around 12, and you should have 168 stitches now this time around. Okay, what we're going to do now is chain 1. We're going to go back into the same stitch and do a double crochet. Now I'm going to double crochet into the next stitch. Make sure you kind of pull it apart and make sure you get that stitch, because sometimes it kind of stretches when you put that first double crochet in there, but you got to get that one so your square don't get crooked. I'm going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch until I get to my chain 2 space here. Okay, and when I get to my chain 2 space, I'm going to work 2 triples, chain 2 and 2 triples again. That. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 15 stitches. So double into the next 15. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's 15. Now I'm going to put 1 half double crochet into the next 12 stitches. So half double over the next 12. Okay, there's 12, and now you should have 15 stitches that remain until you get to your chain 2 space. You want to go and put 1 double crochet into the remaining 15. Okay, I did my double in the remaining 15, and now we're going to do our corner by doing 2 triples. Chain 2 and 2 more triples, all into that chain 2 space. And now we're going to repeat again what we just did over here for all the sides. So it's 1 double into the first 15, 1 half double into the next 12, and 1 double into the last 15, and then you do your corner of 2 triples, chain 2 and 2 triples, and you just repeat that pattern till you get back to the beginning. Okay, I made it back over here to where I started, and you just want to end with a slip stitch into your first double crochet, and that'll end around 13, 184 stitches now. So we're on round 14, which is the last round. So what we're going to do is chain 1, and we're kind of just going to go around it in single crochet to kind of get all clean it up and straighten up, make it more of a square. It's pretty squared off, but this is gonna make it look even better. So go right back into that same stitch and single crochet. Now we're going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch until we get up here to the corner, and I'll show you what we're going to do in the corner. Now in each of the corners we're going to put 2 half double crochets. So there's 1, and 2, and then chain 2, and then work 2 half double crochets again. That's going to be the corners. 2 half doubles, chain 2, and 2 half doubles. And now we're just going to continue, and we're going to work 1 single crochet into every single stitch all the way down until we get to our next corner. And make sure you kind of pull that back and you don't miss this first stitch. So single crochet in every single stitch until you get to your next chain 2 space, or to your next corner. When you get there, it's 2 half doubles, chain 2, and 2 half doubles, and then you continue putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until we get back to the beginning, and just working our 2 half doubles, chain 2, 2 half doubles in each of the corners. So this is just basically kind of the cleanup row. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that, and I'll meet back up with you when I get back around to the beginning. Okay, once you make it back to the beginning, you want to go ahead and end with a slip stitch into your first single crochet that you made. And that'll end around 14, and you should have 200 stitches now all the way around. Now that is it. Now you just kind of want to lay it out and get it all. I kind of pull the corners out. Get it all laid straight, but that's it. That's all there is to it. I think that it turned out pretty nice. If you make this or anything else, I'd really like to see a picture of it. You can post a picture on my Bag a Day Crochet Facebook page. I'll put a link to that below in the description box. Also, please don't forget to look in the description box for the auto subscribe button, so you can click on that and subscribe and never miss an update of any of my tutorials. And that's it. That's what they look like. And until next time, have a good day.